the early 1990s, mecha vehicle simulation games were all the rage. This trend was driven by games like Star Cruiser, Mech Warrior, and Target Earth, all of which embraced futuristic themes and packaged them into action simulation experiences. The craze got so big at one point that leading arcade and console developers started to borrow these themes and put them into their own games, such as Capcom with Cyberbot's Full Metal Madness. Everybody's doing it, so why not do it better than everybody else? That's what Squaresoft said anyway, so the legendary RPG developer decided to put its own twist on the trend with Front Mission, which came out on the Super Famicom in 1995. Unfortunately for North American RPG fanatics at the time, and I was one of those, the title was never localized for the SNES. Thankfully though, a fully translated English patch was later developed by List Translations, and it's fantastic. I'll include a link to the translation patch in the comments below. At its most basic level, Front Mission's gameplay combines mecha simulation elements with strategy RPG gameplay you'll find in Tactics Ogre and the Fire Emblem games. You'll witness storyline sequences with dialogue, but most of the meat and potatoes comes in the form of strategic battles, where you control units on a grid. Most battles require you to defeat all enemies, and like most other tactical RPGs, you can move a unit and perform one action on each of their turns. Nothing real unexpected here if you're familiar with the genre. However, Front Mission does offer some unique facets when it comes to the gameplay as well. Throughout the adventure, the player's chief responsibility here is to equip their army of mechs, which are called Wanzers, with various weapons and armor to overcome the game's challenges. Each Wanzer has 4 slots: body, left arm, right arm, and legs. You can buy parts for your Wanzers, as well as items for healing and other things, at the Wanzer shops. There are 4 types of weapons: melee weapons, short-ranged weapons, long-ranged weapons, and support fire weapons. There are clubs, rifles, machine guns, grenade launchers, flamethrowers, and all sorts of other stuff. It's awesome. When you make these choices, you have to take weight and power output into consideration as well, so there are some limitations to work around. Usage frequency determines how strong your weapons become, so if a Wanzer uses machine guns often, its close range attack will improve over time. The same goes for all other weapon types as well. It's the whole learn by doing concept. You can also obtain computers that augment the power of your weapons. Shields can also be equipped to deflect enemy barrages. Outside of customization, there is another unique element that sets this one apart from other tactical RPGs. And that is that each Wanzer part has its own health bar, and enemy Wanzers mostly reflect the characteristics of your own. You can defeat units completely by destroying their body, but you can also target enemy weapons to disable them instead, or enemy legs to hinder their mobility. There's lots of strategic choices. To me, the best part of Front Mission is the fun that comes through customizing your weapons and building your own crew of specialized mechs. This guarantees each player's experience with the game will be a little different, and it encourages experimentation, something not found in many other strategy RPGs. As far as the story goes, you play as Lloyd, also translated as Royd in some versions, who becomes involved in a complex struggle over Huffman Island. 2 political factions, the Oceania Community Union and the United States of the New Continent, maintain claims over the territory. When Lloyd is sent by the OCU to lead an illegal mission into enemy territory, his fiancée Karen is captured in an ambush. The perpetrator is Driscoll, a USN commander who serves as the title's chief antagonist. After years of disgrace over the failed operation, Lloyd is recruited by a mercenary unit to seek vengeance. Overall, the story contains a lot of sad elements. It's honestly pretty depressing at times. I think the graphics look pretty good for their era, as do the animations. The isometric view gives the player the feeling they're in a large world, and I was pretty impressed how the game featured a variety of settings, all of which look different from each other. For instance, there's this cool urban metropolis area, this jungle area, and also these wooded foothills. I also think it's pretty cool how the game switches into more of a one-on-one view when Wanzers clash, unlike other games where all the action takes place on the same grid. The soundtrack for Front Mission was created by legendary composer Yoko Shimomura, who created many other noteworthy soundtracks such as those for Live Alive, Super Mario RPG, and Legend of Mana. I don't think Front Mission's soundtrack is quite as great as Live Alive's, but it's worthy in its own right and definitely adopts her trademark style. If you played those games, I think you'll recognize her work right away here. The great thing about Front Mission for people that missed out on it long ago is that the game was recently remade as Front Mission First Remake for the Nintendo Switch and released in November of 2022. This version gives the game user interface and graphical improvements, but retains most of the classic gameplay elements and story. I haven't played this version, but I sure am thankful that Square Enix has brought it back for North American fans to enjoy in an official capacity. It's some serious mecha necromancy. If you played it, leave me a comment below and just let me know if it lives up to the original, or tell me what it changes. Regardless of which version you play, Front Mission is a more than worthy game to sink some time into today. It's a fun strategy RPG that embraced some creative ideas within that subgenre and presents a darker story than the lighthearted games of this time. Its difficulty level is just right, customizing the Wanzers is super addicting, and the soundtrack rules. It'll give you about 25 to 30 hours of strategy RPG greatness, and the simulation elements make it stand out from a lot of other games of the era. I'm a definite fan and recommend this one highly. But what do you think? Does Front Mission measure up to the other great strategy RPGs of its time, like Tactics Ogre, Fire Emblem, or Final Fantasy Tactics? Let me know what you think in a comment below. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell for more retro gaming content, and join my Discord community linked in the description. Also, please consider supporting my channel via YouTube's Join feature to receive member exclusives, such as advanced videos and complete video transcripts.